What if you could trade it all for the open road? A house for a fifth wheel, a routine for adventure. In November 2024, we packed up for a weekend in Omaha. We thought we were just looking at RVs, but we didn't know we were about to make one of the biggest decisions of our lives. This trip wasn't just about floor plans or features. It was about deciding if we could truly do this. Could we become a full-time RV family? So, for a very long time, we have been thinking about traveling full-time. Two of us have always enjoyed travel. I've traveled extensively for work. We've traveled to Europe several times together and then all over the country, and have tried to take the kids on more and more adventures. And of course, if you've been following along, you've watched that we took them on a really big road trip through the eastern United States and saw a good part of the country, and they loved it. So we came home even more excited to travel more, maybe both a little bit frustrated with our work lives, kids having some challenges at school, not really with their education, but disruptive things that even in our rural community, there's things that didn't make a whole lot of sense for them to maybe get the best out of what they could at school. So we've spent a lot of time
debating,
talking,
figuring out what we maybe want.
Between watching other YouTube videos of people traveling full-time with their families, it's something that we really started to consider hard. So that's what we're looking at right now, and really strongly leaning towards that direction. The other thing that we're trying to consider is what's possible for work. Do we have remote work available? We have some investments that we could help live off of and help fund this, but ultimately don't want to eat that up if we can. So spending time trying to figure all of that out and really weighing the benefits and the benefits that we got out of the trips that we've taken so far with the kids. They've been able to learn a lot about the world around them, interact with people, see so many different things that they wouldn't see otherwise. Maybe on TV, maybe on YouTube. Some of the things that we've looked at are, again, what would the RV look like? So in this video, we go and visit one of our local RV dealers. They happen to have some models that we were interested in, so there's come down to like 2 or 3 different brands that we found that had similar floor plans. I think Grand Design, Jayco, and I'm not sure what the other one was, maybe in Montana. And they actually had 2 full bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a loft area, so that basically becomes a 3rd bedroom. That's in a 5th wheel rather than a motorhome. We looked at motorhomes, and they just didn't have quite the separation or private space for everybody. So lots of things to consider, not just the kids, ourselves, our jobs, our pets. We've started to kind of have this conversation with some friends and family and kind of gauge their interest. I think to our surprise, our friends are all excited about it. Some of the family's excited, some is a little more apprehensive.
So you might be wondering how we got into this crazy idea. Literally driving down the road, Phil turns over to me and says, "What if we traveled full-time in an RV? What do you think?" I thought about it. I'm like, it's not the worst idea.
I thought she would look at me like I was crazy and dispute it and be like, no way.
Yeah.
She didn't second guess it at all. As soon as we stepped inside, we knew. It felt real. It felt right. After a full morning at the dealership, we needed some space to think. So we explored Omaha. We walked through history at the Lewis and Clark Trail headquarters, and then crossed state lines on the Bob Kerrey Bridge just because we could.
I'm a little chill too.
Okay, we're up early. Morning 2 of our weekend adventure in Omaha. We got some breakfast and some caffeine. Elizabeth's drinking coffee, I guess. Okay, I'm sure I'm gonna butcher the name. I think it's Lorenzen Gardens. But up here on the top of the hill are some pretty cool things that you wouldn't expect to be up here. We found ourselves on a quiet overlook at Kennefic Park, standing between two massive locomotives that once powered America's railways. And it hit us, how powerful movement really is. There's something about it that changes you forever.
So the Big Boy was built in 1944, won the first 5. The last run was 1959. It retired in 1962 and also was stored in 1962 at Cheyenne. And then came here in 1970. I don't know. It was a legendary landmark and it was completed May 10th, 1969.
So even if you're not into trains, if you're just into American history, or you just want a really scenic view across the river and a nice little hike, great place to come visit. Now we're spending some time in Memorial Park, kind of what I would call Central Omaha, kind of near the UNO campus. Wandered Memorial Park, soaking in a warm fall day, trying to wrap our heads around everything we'd seen. Before leaving town, we made one more stop, the Platte River State Park. We hiked some of the short trails, climbed the old fire lookout tower, and stood there, watching the river wind through the trees. Somewhere between the silence of the woods and the distant sound of the highway, we knew this wasn't just a fun idea anymore. This was our path. By the time we pulled into our driveway back in central Nebraska, the conversation was no longer if, it was how soon. The next few weeks were a blur of big decisions and emotional conversations. We started looking at our finances seriously. Could we generate remote income? We talked to the kids openly and honestly about what this would mean for school, for friendships, and for life. We began researching trucks, hunting for the perfect RV model, and quietly testing how family and friends might respond. Some people were thrilled, some weren't sure, and honestly, we weren't either. But one thing was clear, we didn't want to wait for someday anymore. We started this trip wondering if full-time RV life could work. We came home knowing we had to make it happen. If you're new here, we're the Murphy family, and this is just the beginning of our journey. We'll be sharing everything, RV we chose, what full-time travel is really like with the kids, and how we make it all work. So hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment, and join us as we turn this dream into our everyday life.